Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
You tell me action.
Action.
Hi, I'm Philip and Yoris. This is the Hungarian Pastry Shop. Come on in.
That's two mocha and one flour.
Our hamantashen. We've got apricot, prune, walnut, and poppy seed. Alright, so welcome to the kitchen. This is where we've been baking pastries since 1961. And today, in honor of Purim, we're going to show you how to make a hamantashen.
Has anyone ever recorded you baking before?
No. No.
This is just like a big KitchenAid.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
That's all it is. Don't be afraid of it.
But if you didn't have one of these, you could mix it by hand. Correct?
Yep.
Okay.
You're going to need a couple of tools. You're going to need a couple different tools to get the job done.
Okay, wait a second. Let's get started.
Oh, really? Let's get started.
No.
No.
Be happy about let's get started. Come on, Phil.
Let's get started. So, in order to make hamantashen, you're going to need a stand mixer, or if you don't have a stand mixer, you'll be able to mix it at home with just a regular spatula. Rolling pin. I roll my dough out on a canvas so it doesn't stick, but if you can just have a regular floured surface, that's going to be fine. And a standard cookie cutter, and that's really all we need. Okay, so we're ready to begin mixing our dough. The first thing we're going to use is a pound of unsalted sweet butter, 1 pound of vegetable shortening, 1 pound of powdered sugar, 3 pounds all-purpose flour, with a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, and you can mix a little vanilla powder in here, or you can mix a little bit of vanilla extract in with your eggs, 3 large eggs, and 1 cup of milk. To start mixing, we're going to be using a paddle attachment on our mixer, and we're going to start with the butter. Shortening, and powdered sugar. Now, I urge you to always start on the lowest possible speed when you're mixing with powdered sugar. If you don't have a stand mixer like this at home, you can use, probably don't have an industrial stand mixer like this at home, but you can use a Cuisinart or a KitchenAid mixer. And if you don't have one of those, start with everything at room temperature, your butter and your shortening, so that it's easier to mix by hand. So the trick behind, you ready? The trick behind this is that you want to get the shortening, the butter, and the powdered sugar mixed as soft as you can. You're going to be mixing it for a while. I just scraped the bowl down to get any remaining powdered sugar off the bottom, and we're going to let this continue to mix for about 5 minutes so that it gets really, really soft. And the color is going to turn almost white. So I'm going to scrape it again. I'm scraping the bowl down again. I just wanted to get everything mixed really evenly. If you don't, what you're going to end up with when you are shaping and rolling your dough is you're going to end up with little nuts of butter or shortening that will just, even after they bake, they'll stay there. And it'll ruin the texture of the hamantashen.
So what you're looking for is a smooth consistency.
We're looking for
everything well combined.
A smooth, combined, creamy consistency.
Hypnotic.
Okay, now that it's been mixing for about 3 or 4 minutes, we're just going to do another really thorough scraping of the bowl. And you can see from the texture and the color that it's starting to be fully integrated, but there's still a little bit of marbling, which means that the butter and the shortening haven't fully incorporated yet. It's getting there. As you can see, it's starting to slap the sides as it mixes, and the color is getting really nice and consistently pale. Holding a very stiff heat as the stick is going around on it. This is about 5 to 7 minutes of heavy mixing. So after about 5 or 7 minutes of whipping, there's a nice even consistency in the texture. It's a nice whipped texture. You can see in the color of the cream, it's a pretty even, pale white color. And that means that we're pretty much ready to go. It's coming off very easily from the side of the bowl. It's very soft. And that's going to be the base of your hamantashen. So the next step is that in rapid succession we're going to add our milk and eggs. And then the flour. And we're going to mix it until we're going to mix it so that it's just only very, very loosely incorporated. So for the next step, we're going to get this back up on the stand, and then we're going to quickly add our egg and milk mixture, and then followed by the flour and baking powder. And we're going to do it quickly until it's just barely incorporated. We don't want to overwork the dough at this point. Again, you're going to always start when you're adding a dry ingredient with the mixer on its lowest speed. I'm going to quickly scrape down the sides and the bottom. And the first step is done. So now that we've finished the first mix and the dough is just barely combined, we're going to set it aside in the refrigerator to cool so that we can mix it again and then start working with it. So I've got a baking tray here, sheet pan, just covered in a little bit of flour, and I'm just going to knock the dough off and then scrape it out onto the pan, and then we'll stick it in the refrigerator to cool. This is what the dough should look like after a first mix. You can still see streaks of the shortening in butter, and you can also see some kind of like unmixed flour. That's fine. We're going to put it in the refrigerator to cool. We're going to mix it harder after it's cooled down for about half an hour, 45 minutes, so that everything is nice and cooled all the way through. That second mix will allow us to then roll out the dough as you cook it. Now that our dough is cool, we're going to take it out. We're going to put the amount that we want to shape into the bowl. We're going to give it our second mix and then roll it into a little log like we started with. And no, we didn't start with that. Now that our dough is cool, we're going to take it out. We're going to mix a little bit of it, roll it up into a little log so that we can then roll it out on the counter. So now we're just going to take a chunk of dough that's nice and cold, about as much as we want to make for one tray of cookies. Here we have our cool dough, and we're going to mix it for a second time. This time we want to mix it so that it's fully incorporated. see, after the second mix, or during the second mix, after the dough has cooled, the dough comes together very nicely, very quickly. Don't want to over mix it, because then it's going to be too hard to roll out. So now we're going to take the dough out of the bowl, we're going to roll it into a small knob, and I like to put it into the refrigerator to let it cool one more time before I roll it out. I like to work with the dough as cold as possible. There you are. Now our dough is ready to be rolled out and cut. So...
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Philip. Now our dough is ready to roll.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
No, come on. But
It's so bad.
yeah, but that's why it's so good. Now, just come on. Be cute.
Okay, alright. Now that the dough is mixed for the second time and has cooled again, we're ready to roll. So I'm going to bring it over here, let it on the counter, and first I'm going to flour the surface. And if you don't have a canvas, that's fine, you can just flour your table. A light, even spread so that the dough doesn't stick. Do a little shaping of the dough with your hands. And we'll get started. So I like to work with this dough when it's fairly cold. It takes a lot more work to roll it out, but when you're working in a commercial space, the kitchen's usually quite warm and the dough gets soft very quickly. What I'm doing now is rolling out the dough until it's even thickness all the way across, about a 1/4 inch thick. Then we're going to cut. Now if you have a table brush, if you've used too much flour, you can just gently brush the flour off the surface. But you probably won't have to, because you haven't used much flour to begin. Now we're ready to cut. Now it's time to cut the dough. We're going to want a sheet pan and parchment paper. And our cutter. So I'm going to try to maximize every corner here, and then when I'm done cutting the first round, I'm going to ball the dough up again and re-roll it in order to get a few more cookies out of it. And that's what you're looking for. So it's going to start as a circle and end as a triangle. So we've got a tray here. It's a 3 by 5. You want to lay them out so that there's evenly spaced on the tray and they've got room to bake and they're not crowded. So if you have any extra dough left over and you don't want to make another tray of cookies, the best thing to do is to just kind of roll it into the same kind of log that we had when we started. And you can store it for a couple days in the refrigerator, or you can just as easily freeze it and use it again in a week. And that's that. Our next step is going to be filling and shaping the hamantashen. We're going to use an apricot filling that we use normally at the store. It's just a standard apricot jam, but it's strengthened with some food starch so that it can hold up better at high temperature in the oven. You should be able to find something similar to this at a grocery store, supermarket, or you can look online for particular recipes if you have something else in mind. So you can use a scraper or a teaspoon, whatever you prefer, and you're just going to get a little blob right in the middle of your cookie. All right, and now we're ready to shape. Now it's time to shape. You're going to pick up the hamantashen by the edge and just kind of get it in the palm of your hand, and then bring your pointer fingers together and your thumb and your forefingers together. And there you have a hamantashen. Okay, so you're going to take the cookie and kind of rest it on your fingertips. You're going to press together your two pointer fingers and then gently press with your thumbs. The filling is going to kind of soften up in the oven and it's going to flow a little bit. So we just want to make sure that the ends are nice and tight so that it doesn't flow out the ends. And I think it looks nice if it's just kind of peeking up out of the top a little bit. And there you are, just ready for the oven. Whoop, this one. Okay, so the oven is set for 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes, at which point we will rotate and check them and see how far along they are. Okay, now we need to do some math. The timer went off, and so now we're going to go check on them and rotate the pan. We are at about halfway. And we can give them another 10 minutes. Okay, timer just went off. Our cookies should be ready. And there you have hamantashen. It's been a long time since I made hamantashen.
No,
so
they're huge. They look delicious.
What is in them?
Apricot.
Oh, obviously, of course.
Looks like little
You can
volcanoes.
decide later. Thank you so much for joining us. Come and visit us at 111th Street and Amsterdam Avenue in Manhattan, and have a happy Purim.